JD, you released your predictions, who you think are going to be in the college football playoff. I want to throw that graphic up really quick for our audience, Justine, just because I found a couple of them fascinating. We agree. I'm not going to let mine out of the bag yet, but just to let our viewers know, at 12, you got App State. You've got them playing the 5 seed Ole Miss out of the SEC. You've got Tennessee as the 11 seed, playing Ohio State as the 6 seed. Then you have Bama playing Florida State. Bama, the 10 seed, Florida State, the 7 seed. Notre Dame, the 9 seed, playing Texas, the 8 seed. Then your top 4 seeds, you had Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Utah 4, Miami 3. JD, I want to start on the outside. Let's start group of 5 here. App State, you think the Sun Belt is going to be kind of the lead dog, I'm guessing, when it comes to non-power conferences this year?
A little bit of Fun Belt never killed anybody, you know?
No.
We got the thing that I love so much with them is Liberty. They get them at the crib. That'll be a tremendous non-conference kind of sneaky college football playoff impact kind of game. Liberty has the best odds of anybody, G5 or P4, to go undefeated. I don't think they're factoring in the fighting Luke Combs, giving him some trouble in Boone, North Carolina. So I'll roll with App State as my G5 pick. I don't know if they get there undefeated, but I think that the Sun Belt has enough juice to that, and the head-to-head with Liberty will get them into the college football playoff.
No, that Liberty schedule is really interesting. All right, so I'm seeing Notre Dame up there, JD. Here's one where me and you, at least up to this point, and again, we're a couple weeks away from our predictions here, but Notre Dame, you believe they get in. So let me ask you this. Does that mean you think Notre Dame is going 11-1 or better, or do you think they can get in at 10-2?
I think they go 10-2. I think what happens is Penn State, right now, they should go 11-1 based on their schedule. Listen, I don't trust that offense just yet. I don't trust the weapons. I like Drew Allard. I don't know if I love Drew Allard. To me, just the schedule for Notre Dame is so workable to where 10-2, I think, based on the quality of losses they would have, it would be to probably a USC or a A&M or a Florida State. Like any of those, to me, I take over Penn State losing to Ohio State and then whoever that second loss is to. It's better than whatever they have, whether it be Wisconsin, whether it be any of those other Big Ten losses they would have, would be superior to me. So I don't know if I trust Riley Leonard just yet. I love the weapons. I love Marcus Freeman. I love the defense. I don't feel amazing about Notre Dame, but I feel good enough to say they get the nod at 10-2.
Yeah, hurt losing that starting left tackle yesterday.
Yeah, it really did. All right, let's keep diving into this. Pull that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Miami 3, Utah 4. I don't have a problem with any of those. So those are your conference winners, right? Those get the first round bye, JD?
Yep. All right. I think Miami's a wagon, man.
Yeah, and in the comments, I was reading some of the comments on your post. A lot of people were like, oh, this guy's crazy to think Miami's going to be the 3 seed. I think a lot of non-college football fans don't understand the way the format works this year. But, I mean, Mario Cristobal, year 3, gets one of the best quarterbacks out of the transfer portal in Cam Ward. I'm right there with you on Miami. If not winning the conference, I think we'll be in a position to at least get into the 12-team playoff, which you have the second-best team in the ACC, Florida State, getting the 7 seed there. So no Clemson. But here's where I really want to go with this, because you have 5 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams. So you have Georgia, then you have Ole Miss at the 5 seed. All right, you have Alabama at the 10, Texas at the 8, Tennessee at the 11. Okay, so here's my issue. Georgia plays Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss all on the road, and they get Tennessee. So they're playing all 4 of the other SEC teams that you have. A similar situation when it comes to Florida State. Florida State's going to play Miami, who you also have in the college football playoff, as well as Notre Dame, who's not really an ACC team, but kind of a quasi-ACC team.
And
so
right?
Break it down for me how the SEC is going to get these 5 teams in. Like what is Georgia doing throughout their regular season that they play all 4 of those other teams, but still obviously make the SEC championship because you have them winning it and being the 1 seed?
I have Georgia getting in the college football playoff without a scratch.
Wow.
I have them going wire to wire. I have them undefeated. And I get it. Like, the gauntlet is ridiculous, right? I mean,
sure.
We talked about they got to go to Texas, They got to go to Ole Miss. They got to go to Tuscaloosa. Like it is just like a murderer's row for Georgia when it comes to the regular season schedule. I just think they're different. I think Carson Beck is different. I think the edge they have this year is different. I think Kirby doesn't have to manufacture any juice for them. And so when you have an undefeated, SEC champ, that's the 1 seed, that kind of leaves a lot of margin for some 10-2 teams to, find their way in through the back door for the SEC. Like I think Tennessee is 10-2. I think Bama's 10-2. I think that we have Ole Miss going 11-1 with their only loss being to Georgia.
But hold on here.
Say it again.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm really trying to figure this out in real time with you here. So you have Ole Miss at the 5 seed. So are you saying that Ole Miss makes the SEC championship game and loses to Georgia? Because if they do, they won't be 11-1. They'll be 11-2, and that'll be a second loss.
11-2. I think the college football playoff will use some common sense here and say, okay, 1 loss, second loss outside of the regular season coming in the SEC title game.
Okay.
Your 2 losses are two best or the best team in college football, more or less. And so I think the committee says, all right, 11-2, SEC runner-up, we'll put you in the 5 spot.
Okay, so Tennessee plays Alabama and Georgia. So obviously you're saying they lose to Georgia. You're saying they lose to Alabama as well. And then Alabama is losing to Georgia and who else?
Hey, Death Valley, late at night. If it's not a night game in Baton Rouge,
so they're
I don't
10-2.
know what they're doing. I think they lose to LSU.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those teams have 2 losses. Ole Miss picks up their second loss to an undefeated Georgia in the SEC championship game who's already beaten them. So my question is, where do the other 10-2 teams factor into this? I'm talking about, like, you brought up Penn State. I mean, I think Penn State's going to go 10-2. Again, no Michigan on that schedule, no Oregon on that schedule. I mean, even if they lost, let's just say they lost at West Virginia in the opener and they lose to the Buckeyes, they could still go 10-2. You're going to have Iowa, even a mediocre, competently Iowa team can win 10 games. You're going to have Michigan again. Michigan and Texas, the loser of that game is going to have a tough time. But where are the rest of these teams around the country who could potentially win 10 games, like the Kansas States and those teams?
I think Penn State's on the outside looking in for kind of
the first out. Yeah, are they the first out, JD?
First out, yeah. On the bubble, if you will. Get in Joe Lunardi, man. I think they're on the outside. I really do. I think they are. The other 10-2 teams that would get in, I'm not 100% sure what to think of Texas based on the new weapons, but I do think they're a college football playoff team. I lean more 10-2 than I do 11-1 with them right now. I think they lose to Georgia, and then I think they pick up a loss to somebody else. But I think when you look at the reference points for the SEC, like those are all going to be better, quote unquote better losses than a Penn State would have if you lose to Ohio State and then they lose to Wisconsin, like we mentioned, or any other Big Ten team. So in some ways you're saying, okay, this is great for Penn State that they don't have Michigan, they don't have Oregon. But when the dust settles, it's like, man, if you do go 10-2, that 10-2 does not stack up as well as a Tennessee or a Texas or whoever.
So then for Florida State, again, the same question I had before, like Florida State plays Miami in the regular season. And they play Notre Dame. So is Notre Dame, you have them beating Texas A&M in the opener, I guess, and then are they losing to Florida State? Are they beating Florida State? And again, how does that conference championship play out? Because someone's going to have to pick up a second loss if they play each other in the conference championship.
I think Miami goes undefeated during ACC play. I think Miami actually drops that first game in Gainesville.
I don't think that's crazy at all, JD. Twice. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think you're crazy at all for thinking Florida's going to win that game. If that, I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping that gets bet up to Florida if we can get to +3.5. Then I'm gonna be all over it. I think Florida's +2.5 right now. I'll buy a point on that one if I got to make it +3.5.
Hey, Jake, we both got babies on the way, man. Let's get a college fund going.
Yeah, we can That's how Warren Buffett started. People don't know he just bet on the 76ers.
There are worse ways to make money.
That's what Pursuit of Happiness is actually all about. Ain't that the truth? All right, JD, we got some questions from the chat here, brother. We're going to start off with Davis. Davis, what's up? #AskJD says, do you think we'll see a Georgia team that is elite on offense and great, but not elite on defense?
I think it's easier to say they'll be elite on offense right now. The tough part with saying they're not going to be elite on defense is I'm like, Kirby Smart's still the head coach. Glenn Schumann's still the co-DC. Will Muschamp is taking a step back, but he's still in that building and still helping, make the whole formula work the right way. I think if I had to pick a more trustworthy side of the football right now for Georgia, I would say the offense, but I don't think the defense is going to take some massive step back, even with the guys they lost. Like, we talk about the guys they lost via the portal, like Jamon Dumas-Johnson was an absolute stud for them last year at linebacker when he was healthy. He's gone to Kentucky. I believe that Jamon Dumas-Johnson and players of his caliber chose to transfer out with some knowledge of who else was in the room with them, and knowing how good they were. Not to say they ran from competition, but it's like, hey, we got some young bucks here, Raylan Wilson, who he's probably going to eat away at my snaps that I'm trying to get on tape to go play in the NFL. So I think the defense will be really good. I'll probably lean towards the offense being more elite than the defense, but I think the defense is going to be more than capable to win the SEC and potentially a national title.
Hey, you know what's funny when people are like, "Oh yeah, well Georgia's weakness this year is going to be on the D line." I love how we use the term weakness when that's just because everybody else is elite at the other position groups and they're just new. And Georgia recruits so well, their quote unquote weakness would be like the strength of other teams if their defensive linemen were to go on there. I always find that funny.
Oh, it's gonna
making fun of the rich man's guest bedroom.
That's
right?
exactly
right. He only had one bath. He only had one sink in that bathroom. It's like, well, but your apartment has a half bath.
Yeah, my TiVo is in the contract.
All right, let's go to Mikey. Mikey, what's up? Hashtag AskJD says, I see Georgia Tech throwing a wrench into your ACC picks. Where do you have Georgia Tech finishing in the ACC?
Georgia Tech's sneaky. I put Georgia Tech in that killer whale category. They could breach and just nobody sees them coming, except for, I guess, y'all on this show, because y'all been pounding that drum too for a while. So if Georgia Tech does get in the ACC title game, come back here to this show and make sure that y'all collect your receipts. But I mean, Virginia Tech, SMU, there's a lot of teams that could come out of nowhere and be a problem. I just think the rosters of Florida State, Miami, and I'll throw Clemson in there too, are just too superior right now to get upset by a lesser caliber ACC team to go wire to wire.
Yeah, I think there's so many sneaky teams in the ACC. It's like a Scooby-Doo episode. It's where finally at the end they're going to catch them and pull the mask off, and you're going to be like, oh, well, my God, it was SMU the whole time. It was SMU the whole time. That's just what I feel like the ACC is going to be.
So,
but
can you say again, how do you have Notre Dame finishing? Do you have them at 10-2 making the playoff?
I have Notre Dame at 10-2 making the playoff.
Who are they losing to?
Drop a game to Florida State, and then I think they're going to drop a game somewhere along the way. I'll say it's USC.
Okay. So again, that means they'd beat Texas A&M on the road. That means they'd beat Louisville at home, and they'd beat Georgia Tech, who will be a neutral site.
They'd be happy at Marcus Freeman. That means Riley Leonard stayed healthy. We'll see. But the discussion's always healthy, JD, when you're on here, buddy. Tell everybody where they can find you. I appreciate you coming to us live from the dojo. I can see the light getting ready to bring you up into the college football heavens of happiness.
Yeah, man. I mean, I say the dojo. This is actually just the garage where I do karate. So,
that's good. Some would call that a dojo.
That is exactly one and the same, synonymous. Typically, though, you can find us in the studio, which is, 25, 50 yards from where I'm at right now, on the On3 YouTube channel. If you like podcasts, you type in the Hard Count with JD PicKell, and you'll find our show there as well. But y'all, always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me on. And next time, I'll make sure we got all the camera angles right, and we'll be rocking and rolling.
Hey, well, look, if you're in North Korea, just text me after the show. We'll come get you. We do have Skyhook ready, we're ripping and ready to go. But JD, we appreciate it, buddy. You're the man. Yep, I'm gonna check it. Yeah. He's definitely in Pyongyang. Appreciate it, buddy. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Appreciate you guys stopping by. If you got a chance, which obviously you do, you're watching this, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, and like this video, or unlike it, or kind of like it.